So, hello everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here. It's the first time I'm presenting in English at Technical, so it's a sign of modernity, of progress. But I've seen many signs of progress and modernity, I have to say, so I'm very impressed with this university, and it's good to be back. I will not repeat what Isabel already told about me, but I think it's important that you think how I came where I am, starting from Technical. So I always wanted to go to the industry when I was doing my PhD. And I was trying as much as I could to, even during the PhD with Eduardo and Jorge Palat, try to make some connection with the industry. So we had a project with BP. We had a project with BP Chemicals back then, and I was always excited about to see the practicability of what I was doing. And when I entered, I was fascinated. So there was an incredible group of research that Isabel knows well in thermodynamics and physical properties at Bayer, where I started my work. It was really amazing to see how it was same level of scientific quality that I was having here and there. So I did not have any issue adapting. I just continued working with the same basis I had from here. So it was the first sign that connection was working. But then, as Isabel already said, I changed multiple times within the company because I got excited about many opportunities. Because when you are in a big company, it's all about opportunities, and they need people to work about supply chain. Am I interested? Yes, I was. Then I went to more IT projects, and then I went to project management in the area of business, credit management, marketing, and then I fall in love with marketing. Marketing is an incredible discipline where it's all about thinking about what you have and what consumers or customers need. That's a fascinating area. And that's what, at the time I met smallholders for the first time. I was selling fungicides, and my major market was in Asia. And it was amazing to see how farmers, poor farmers, were really happy to see the effect of our good products. Because Bayer is a good company producing good products, publicity aside, but the effect was there. And the first moment of truth for me was when I was in a big assembly, 300 farmers just put together there, attracted by some cheap meals that they would get something to eat. But that's the reason why they go to these assemblies of marketing and publicity. But there was this one waiting to talk to me at the end, a really old man, poor guy, and he was talking to me at the end. I could not understand a word, but then people translated. He just wanted to say thank you, because thanks to the products, he was able then to produce more. And that really touched me. Right? It's like a moment of truth where you see what is the result of what you are doing. And then I kind of fall in with this area as well, and I got the opportunity to start smallholder farming at the company 6 years ago. Not that Bayer did not work with smallholders before, we did, but with a specific dedicated area of work to develop solutions. And now let's step back and kind of frame the topic. Why is this topic relevant, smallholder farming? And let's think about the challenge we have in our planet with the population growth. We are going to have more than 9 billion people by 2050. And to feed all these people, we will need to increase food production or optimize to zero food loss plus some food production. So increase the food production is there. And how to do this? We cannot start just simply increasing farmland. It's impossible, right? Simply because deforestation itself, it's responsible by up to 15% of emissions of greenhouse gases. So that's not the solution. We don't want to touch increase farmland, but also with the existing farmland, with the existing productivity level, if we start producing and optimizing, intensifying agriculture, that will also not be enough, unless you look at the areas where the productivity is so low because technology is not even getting there. And that's the areas that we are talking about. So it's developing countries where smallholders are there. And smallholders today, they are already feeding around 80% of people, more than half of the people. Some literature say 80%, some say 60, some say 70, whatever. Between 50 and 80% of the people living in these countries are fed by smallholders. So what are smallholders? We're talking about farmers that are growing in an area up to 10 hectares. 10 hectares, it's not as small as we think, but we talk about 550 million farmers growing in these areas. But the majority of them, so 470 million, grow in areas of up to 2 hectares. And the majority of the problems are here in this up to 2 hectares. Now, what problems are we talking about? Everything you may think about, right? Farmers, some are not educated. Some would not even understand if we go there. Look, we have the better seeds, the better chemical crop protection, the better biological crop protection. They would not be able to use it. Even if they could, they would not have access to markets. They could not sell the quantity that they produce above what they usually do. Even if they could not probably afford our products. They would need to get some finance solutions. So it's like a cycle of problems that never ending story. And the point is, you will not find any single entity able to address the issue. Because if you go there with your own perspective, you will not find the focus. It's like when you were in high school and you were told, thinking about Einstein and all these physical masters, that it's really clever if you choose the reference system in the right place. You can calculate it elsewhere, but if you have it on the right place, it's much easier. So companies started to say, well, let's focus on our products, to optimize the products. It's not enough. So we need to put the reference on the farmer, on the customer. So let's now focus on what the customer needs. And if every company will start working with intelligence, what is important is the focus, what the customer needs. So we need to adapt our products to the customer needs. And that's the lie that is feeding so many companies today, because it's not enough. Especially if you go to these countries where the customer needs cannot be measured the way we normally measure. Because even at Bayer, sometimes I see colleagues of mine showing me results of customer service, and I get crazy because what they are doing is they are seeing the customer the way they want them to react. And the questions they make to customers are, how do you like our seed to react? What the perfect seed? How do you like our perfect crop protection product? And they will tell you answers, but they will not tell you, actually, we don't need that. We use something else. Or what we need is finance. What we need is access to markets. So if you do not put not only the reference of your equation at the right place, but also to think what is actually moving the entire system. What is the reason why this is not working? And so that's why the entire project we are leading is focused completely on smallholder farmers, but in a way that we completely forget what we are doing and we just focus on the farmers and ask them and are with them and try to understand what is not working. And so we came to very easy results. It's like when you are working in process engineering and you have a tank and what comes in and comes out, you can do all these balances. And it's like the same with the smallholders. And if you think about the smallholder in terms of euro as the unit of measurement, you will need to have euros at the beginning and euros at the end. So what typically happens is there is no euro at the beginning. Farmers don't have money to do anything. But if they have, the money they have needs to be there to pay seeds, fertilizer, crop protection, irrigation systems, finance interests, and transportation orders. So at the end, what we have to achieve, and that's what the Better Life formula I'm going to tell you in a minute, is a simultaneously coalition of partners addressing these issues at the same time. Because, and I repeat again this, if you go there and make the best demonstration out of your products, let's say the example of Bayer, you have the seeds, you have the fertilizer, you have the crop protection, you can double productivity. It's very easy. You go to this kind of low technology countries, it's very easy with basic knowledge to increase productivity. Just to give you an example, when I was visiting tomato producers in the north of India, Uttar Pradesh, I was shocked because they were, even I did not know anything about tomato production myself, but I could see that's not correct what they're doing there, because they were just growing tomatoes on the floor like we see pumpkins around here, right? Or watermelons. And that's the easiest way for fungi to reproduce if you are just touching the soil and with humidity. So it's really the best way to lose production is to do it like that. And we just told them, well, you should just put a wooden stick, you kind of put the plant like we see everywhere at our gardens ourselves. And it was like a aha effect for some of them. So you see that even basic stuff can change lives. Now, continuing the story. So it's not only one perspective. So what we did was, we had this thesis. But our thesis is, let's focus on the same farmers and solve the issues at the same time for the same farm. Now you ask me, but this is what everybody does. No, it's not. What you typically see, and even if you Google on development projects, the billions of dollars that are put in Africa are typically for projects which are sectorial projects. For example, let's put billions of dollars, and I'm talking about 150 billion of dollars in agriculture projects available. They are available, and they just need projects, but they are sectorial. So there will be projects like, well, let's put interest rates very convenient for farmers. What is this solving? Not much, because the interest rates will be used by the farmers on the top of the pyramid. And I'll go to the pyramid in a minute. Can I? No, I cannot. On this one. Just because visualizations sometimes help. So let's think about a pyramid, and let's think about, let's say, 3 areas of the pyramid. So this pyramid represents 550 million farmers. Okay? These are the progressive farmers. These farmers, they could afford the interest rates I was talking about, right? So they could, you go there, you put the Minister of Agriculture of a country will bring now a lot of money for farmers. These farmers can make it. Now another project, billions of dollars on capacity building. Educate farmers. Let's educate population. Again, these farmers, they can understand. So some of them even speak English in India. Some of them even have some university degrees, really. So they could get it, they could understand. Now talk about bringing technology, affordability. They could do it. So all these billions of dollars develop agriculture. They are always touching this area here, right? So we are not changing anything with this. Now, some NGOs, they completely focus on the subsistence farming. And we talk about here farmers that typically they will have $2 per day to live. Probably not all of them, maybe this will be $5 but just think about what is the capital available for agriculture here. Now, these ones can be addressed by NGOs, and many NGOs focus their work here, and they are present, and they train, and they show how it works, and they move things, and they make it work. How many? They will cover this. I'm exaggerating it. It's much less, because one NGO will have some $1 million of budget, will have some 100 people on the ground. The best examples you can find is 1 acre fund. They are touching 3 million farmers, right? And that's about it. So to change all this, it's an impossible mission that I was given 6 years back. How could we develop this first and start to go here? What could be the model? And this is a model that cannot be paid by buyer, cannot be paid by a government. This needs to be self-sustainable, because otherwise it doesn't work. And that's when we came to this idea, to this thesis. So let's, at the same time, address all the issues of the farmers at the same time, and at the same farmers, not to come to a country, to come to a region in the country, and to these farmers we started. We started with 20 farmers in India, 20, right? Nothing, but in different villages, and we started to measure and to really get them by name. I personally was there, and I still keep contact with 1 or 2 of them, not more, because they were very dispersed. Now what happens? It happens that with the capacity building, when you bring, farmers know how to do it. With the materials you bring, farmers will double their yield. So we doubled yields in India with the Pradesh in green chili production immediately after 1 season. That's the easy part of it. And we tripled farmers' income. Right? When we talk about farmers can earn like $300 a year, and we tripled to around $1,000 a year. So this is something which is possible. No big deal. You will also find projects kind of getting there. Now the question was, how we avoid to be on this corner? How can we make it replicable? How can this work? And then that's when we came to the idea to get these centers, so better life farming centers. You see one picture of one of them in the publicity of this talk. These ladies around a little shop, a little kiosk. And these centers, what we are doing there is the following. We identified first the best educated farmers in the region that would be more entrepreneurial, and that they would be able to kind of run a business. Big challenge to run a business. You need to understand all the dimensions. And think about the moment these people in these countries with this level of poverty have $1 in the pocket, they will find a way to spend it. So really try to educate people to make savings, to invest. And we are working together with the IFC, so International Finance Corporation from the World Bank. They have some specialized training on farming as a business education, and we work with them to that. Then when we have these kiosks owned by these people, this became the center of the knowledge in that community, the center of everything. So we started, we worked with partners. We had seeds, fertilizers, crop protection, fertilization, services like mechanization, access to markets, access to banks, all at one place, owned by somebody else. It's not our cost, it's an investment from this person. And that's what makes the project self-sustainable, because that's a business model that works for the farmers. That was our first proof check. Our checkpoint was it has to work for the farmers, then it has to work for the owners of these centers, and it has to work for all the partners making business there. And believe me, if this is not a business model, it will die, or will be forever subsidized by somebody putting money, right? Because that's the only way you'll get this running. And before getting into more details, I will stop for questions, just to guide me on what would you like to listen more. What is the area of interest? Perfect question, because that's the basis for the model itself. We started with something like 300 farmers, which is more or less what we have now, but the potential is they can go up to 1,000. So we are talking about areas with a lot of population density, a lot of farmers everywhere. But it's like I cannot talk about a snowball effect because there is no snow and it's high temperatures, but something like that, whatever it's applicable there. So they believe on what they see. That's it, an incredible. You also will study if you go to marketing. That first thing you need to understand is who is influencing the opinion of everybody else. And some countries like ours here, television plays a big role, media in general, now social media having a big role, but you will not take a decision on what to buy just because somebody tells you to do. Like my grandmother used to do. She was always buying medicines because some friend told her he's good, and she was having a pocket full of medicines because of that. Somebody told her to. Actually, in this country, it's like that. If somebody you trust will tell you, I did this, it works, that's going to happen. And if you are able to demonstrate how it works, that's what they do. And that's what we are doing. Close to these better life farming centers, we have a demo plot, as we call it, and we demonstrate at zero cost for the owner of the center how farmers should apply the products. And then visitors, the farmers go there and get excited. Wow, I want that. That's part of the magic. But we are about 300 to 400 farmers per center at the moment. And we have currently almost 1,000 centers in India, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. So this is the range we are having today. We are touching about 400,000 farms and getting to 800,000 still for end of the year. Because it multiplies very fast. The difficult thing is to start. So you have always to count on one first season, and it's like that. Unfortunately, agriculture products, it's like babies. They need some months to grow and to be there. So you cannot test your theory before the baby is there. So you need to wait for production, you need to wait what happens, and the farmers need to see the effect to be able to join the program. So that's the magic, because we were able to also to excite our partners in the Better Life Farming Alliance. So the owner of the kiosk runs like a little shop, and he gets a commission, he or she, and I'll talk about the she in a second, gets a commission for each product sold from each company, like in a normal shop. And we, as organizers of all this, we don't have anything to do with that. We don't care. The only thing we care is that at the end, this owner will have a profit. And in the first year, we are getting like 1,000 euro of sales on these shops. And we are already having 3 years experience going almost $10,000, $10,000, which is huge. So that's like the business case for them. Right? So that's why it works. That's why people get excited. Then what we did was we started to put advertisements trying to attract university graduates in agriculture. Would you like to go back to your village and run a business there? And it worked amazingly. We had like 50 centers to allocate. We had 600 applications. And the ones started, they started with social media apps, and they started then to diversify. We have a lady running one of these centers. She's doing yoga trainings in her center. So because of COVID, all this started. Another one is organizing himself like a web platform for advisory. So the important thing is that we give also freedom to the owner of the centers, some freedom, not to buy our competitors' products and forget us, right? But some freedom to everything which is part of better life, it's there. And I mentioned 2 points which are really key in this model. One is this better life idea. It's showing us that in these centers, the center started to become a reference for the population. So people go there for advice. And we had another idea. What if we partner with some NGO or even the pharma division from Bayer or whoever, that we start to channel education in family planning, in basic health, in women is really a focus in these areas in the need of education. So women's health. What if? And we are testing this in Indonesia, and it's working very nicely because we are having female agronomists, we are having female owners of the centers, and women trust women, and they come in groups, and this is working really, really well. So we are now exploring this area of growing. We are having something like 20% of centers owned by women, and it's just possible because we forced it. We were convincing the couples, please let your wife run the center. You go to your farm, and you just let your wife do this. A lot of skepticism at the beginning because the wife would be there, etc. But then you see women coming to the shops. They would not come to the shops if there was a man there and only men around. They would not come. Same thing with our people working on the field. If you send a male agronomist to the field, where it's the time of weed removal, so weeds are removed by hand, by females. So that's one of the biggest opportunities of work for women in this region. They walk to the farms, and they spend the day removing weeds by hand. Now, if you what I was going to say, if you the female agronomist, if you send a man to the field when women are there is no communication possible, because the moment a man is approaching a woman, perceptions are perceptions, and this will not be allowed. Now, but if you send a female agronomist to the field, no problem, right? So all this is, I think you need to live with. If I was going to show slides, I had a picture showing a motorbike driver with his wife on the back and 3 or 4 kids, I don't remember, everybody on the same motorbike without helmets. And I usually show this slide when I do presentations at the high school where my daughters are. I go there and sometimes I talk about what I do. And I always ask, when you look at this picture, what is your first thought? And the reactions are, oh my God, these guys are crazy. What about safety? What helmets? Reaction in this country, in India in particular, where I took the picture, would be, wow, he made it. He bought the motorbike. So it's all about perception. It's all about understanding the needs of people to have the right reference to analyze the problem as well. Any additional? Mm-hmm. Correct. No. So we try work by example. So we demonstrate bioproducts on the field, and we have bioproducts on the shop. but we have also partners on fertilization, on irrigation, which are not bioproducts, right? Partners.
Other companies from the origin.
No, we are partnering with, that would be a clever one, but bio does not work with fertilizers, does not work with irrigation. So these are other partners. We are partnered with Yara, it's a company from Norway, global leader in fertilizers. We are with Netafim, global leader in macro irrigation from Israel, with the IFC from the World Bank. These are the global partners. But locally, we partner with many local companies. We have more than 20 local partners on technology, services, drones. So drones is something I could not even dream about it 6 years back. But in Asia, they are exploding. So you rent a drone, and then the service and the drone owner comes and applies the chemicals in your field very fast. And you don't, as a farmer, don't even to bother about preparing the solutions and touching the chemicals. So it's really working incredibly. And we have also partners like them that offer these services at the centers. It may be a problem, and that was one of my biggest. Yes. But this is a very interesting point. Actually, that was one of the things I was most afraid of. I was afraid of two things when I started this experiment. One was that the so-called middlemen, so they are controlling the prices, and they are coming to the farmers at the moment of harvest, and they will offer nothing. But that's it. Farmers will have it. I was afraid of that, and that did not turn out to be a problem. And it was connected to the other one, which was what if we increase so much the production that would collapse the prices because it's so much available. What happened was, first we need to see the scale. So we are not working with all the farmers, right? It's just a portion of the farmers in the region. What happened was the quality was so much better that we started to attract buyers. We were partnering with one buyer, and that you have to do. You have to have somebody that comes at the end and offers something to the farmer, and you close the cycle. So having an off-taker, somebody who will come and buy, it's a key for success. And what happened, we attracted more. They were not partnering with us, but they started to see, well, there is a lot of good production, so they came. So kind of the system self-regulated, and it was not a problem. It has not been a problem anywhere where we are here. Because simply the quality is so much better. We are even having smallholders now exporting to Dubai because the quality was so, I mean, everything is possible, but you need to be watching closely what's happening. Because if this derails, it destroys the brand immediately. So we are, and that's the difference why sometimes governments could be more efficient. Because we are playing the role of the governments. Governments, if they would have extension services, not only for the capacity building that many of them have, not all, but also to articulate systems like this. So we are investing, we are putting people via people, articulating partners to work together. So that's again what we are doing. We are paying that ourselves. And good news are we had our break even already in 2019. So since 2019, we are on the profit side. And in India, already very close to the normal profit we have with the normal channels, so with the normal customers. And this is really what excited also my bosses, right? When they say, oh, so we do the good things because we have the responsibility to do it. And this is something I have to say from the moment when Bayer acquired Monsanto and we became the biggest player in agriculture in the world. That was the first thing I heard from my boss was, we are now responsible to bring agriculture technology to all farmers. And that's something we take seriously. So I was very happy also that the work I was doing even got more important internally. In Africa, yes. So we started, I did not say that at the beginning because we failed. So we started actually with 20 farmers in India and 20 farmers in Kenya. In Kenya, we failed miserably in 2 seasons, in 2 consequent seasons, due to different reasons. If I would summarize, I would say the entire value chain in Africa is very fragile. really fragile because farmers and the partners in the value chain, they are not now the new English word that everybody says in Portuguese, resilient. Meaning, if something goes wrong, they go bankrupt and they need to do something else. And the system collapses when a drought comes or when somebody does not pay somebody. So they are working really with the sense they have. That's one issue. So we tried hard to identify the best partners. And the problem we had, apart from a drought, a severe drought in one season, was that the partner was supposed to come and buy the potatoes to us when potatoes did not show up. The first day of harvest, on the second, on the fourth, on the eighth, and on the 10th days after harvest, they showed up. And can you imagine what happens to potatoes laying down on the floor in these temperatures, 10 days? Forget it. So total losses we have to compensate the farmers, not to destroy the brand, because that's something I always try to do. Now we are like the GPS system does, recalculating, and we are going to recalculate the approach in Africa. We have already now partners, and Kenya should be the next one. But also in Latin America, we are having a huge interest, also from the USAID, from the American government. They want to invest massively to retain people in Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, that people are not migrating north, further north, and they are investing massively in agriculture. And they saw now how better life farming is able to create resilient food systems. And we are now in discussions how to do it in these countries. So we are expanding. It's really working. So that's connected to one of my first fears with the middleman. In India, we did not have any problem. Bangladesh also not. Indonesia not. But more and more, the donors who are giving these huge amounts of money, I told $150 billion, it's like the sum of everything, huge amount of money. They are more and more really controlling what governments are doing. So governments, they have the freedom to do what they like, but they need to report back. And they need to report back, and if they don't report back in a way that the donors like, they will not get next year. So this is kind of getting control. But the issue is, as I said before, most of these projects, they are sectorial. So there will be a huge, I mean, I was having a meeting with a guy, I think it was or the World Bank or IFED, I don't remember, in India, huge a water dam middle of India that would bring water to 1 million farmers. And I was very excited. Wow, it's amazing. So what are you doing now to prepare the farmers for the day when the water is there? Nothing. Because that's capacity building. You just do water projects. And that's the kind of thing you just get crazy with the lack of coordination among all these, because it's like this everywhere. You go to a government, you have the ministers, right? So a minister of agriculture, he or she wants to make points, right? Now, there is no interest to develop a project in the energy. Why? This lack of interdisciplinarity, it's for me the cause of so much delay in developing countries. So I have to say that there are interesting things, a lot of backstage stories, right? One of them is that there is a lot of governmental influences in all bodies which are owned by governments. And after we have got the award, there was some comments with why Bayer and these bad guys polluting the world from Germany. But there is always this in Germany itself. So Germany is probably the country where I would expect more recognition. And Germany is the German development government is the biggest development organization in the world. GIZ is the name. They have so many resources in the world. It's the biggest one. I would expect them and us to work together hand in hand. We are not. Simply because there is this always this pressure from Green Party. I love Green Party and all the parties, but sometimes I get mad when they just see one direction. So if people will just ask the farmers, and we'll just go there and see what it's working. And I think that's the change we are provoking with this. We are not campaigning, we are demonstrating. And people will be the first ones saying that they are experiencing change and their lives are changing. And that's the way we are going to move things, because from the top, it's very good. Absolutely. So teaching is not, I mean, that's one of the major criticisms from NGOs. It's like, we are not there to bring our formula that works in Germany and the US and in Portugal, and you go there, oh, this is how you have to do it. That's not how we do it. So we first we learn how they do it, and then we see how they can improve, and we demonstrate. Look, if you do like this, you can improve. And that's the change that goes step by step. It will take some time, but it's expanding nicely.